We're on number 4. Number 4 says given line segment AD is congruent to line segment EC, and E is the midpoint of line segment AB. Our goal here is to prove angle ADE is congruent to BCE. So, first thing you should do when working on this is that you need to make sure that you have the figure drawn. It doesn't have to be perfect, but when you work on a problem like this, I'll draw it right down here. Always draw the figure. So always draw the figure and mark your figure with the given information. So right here I drew the figure so we didn't have to watch me draw it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So the first thing they say is ED, so we look for ED is congruent to EC. So we mark that right away. And then it says point E is the midpoint of line segment AB. So that means we have this is congruent right there. So the whole purpose of marking the given is so we know what we're working with. If you don't visualize it and just stare at the picture the entire time, you're not going to know. Most people won't be able to organize their thoughts. So the goal here says prove that angle ADE is congruent to BCE. And I like to mark, this is our goal. That's what they want us to prove. That's our goal. We have to keep that in mind. We don't assume that. That's our goal. So now we have that in track. Let's look at the 2-column proof they gave us. ED is congruent to EC. That's a given. We marked it. E is a midpoint of AB. That's a given. We just drew that. Then it said what we just did. AE is congruent to EB because if it's a midpoint, therefore the two segments will be congruent. Now it's asking what is the reason why AED, why is AED congruent to BEC? So here, when you're doing the EOC, it's just a vocabulary test almost. So AED, BEC. They're opposite angles from two lines that intersect, and we have 4 choices. Alternating exterior, alternating interior, corresponding vertical. So it doesn't look like we have any really alternating exterior. There's no angles outside of this. Angles are inside, but they're not alternating. Corresponding, we're not doing any corresponding here, so the only thing that makes sense is vertical. So vertical angles. Then we're going to be using our rules of congruence. AED is congruent to BEC. Why? What's the reason? Well, we're going to start with what we're given. They're saying all these things. Right away, I'm going to look at HL, and I know we can get rid of that one. Why do I know we can get rid of that one? We have no hypotenuse or leg. Next, we're only given one angle. So angle side angle doesn't work. Here, we're only given 2 sides, so that's not going to work. So the only reasonable information would be side angle side. So we go from a side to an angle to a side, and this triangle, side, angle, side. So the reason why, if we can use this rule of congruence by side angle side, that means If this triangle is congruent to this triangle, that means all corresponding parts are going to be congruent. That's how they get to the last part, the goal we talked about at the end. Alright? Really the biggest thing with these is just following the steps, marking it, and the answers will appear themselves if you don't have to fill in the entire proof.